Well, fuck those people who don't like your flat bear mats. I like them. And you gotta be yourself, right? You gotta do you.
Exactly. Yeah.
For the people who don't know you, why don't you give a little rundown of who you guys are, what your podcast is and your channel, The Real Business Owners, and then also kind of what you do behind the scenes too.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Kale.
So, I mean, little background on us, man, is we've been business partners for quite some time now. I mean, we've been in business since 2006. Trevor's been with us for a long time and then became a partner in like 2010 or 11. I don't know. I lose track, but we own several companies. We've got interest in several companies. We've got a credit repair company, a tax and accounting company. And, I mean, really, man, we've built these companies based on just being entrepreneurial, right? Like there's always problems to be solved in certain industries, like accounting for an example, like accounting is something that most people are unhappy with. And we figured out the problem is because most accountants aren't entrepreneurial. They don't know how to service business owners the way they should be. They don't know that business owners need to be held accountable on some of these things and they need help with that. And so we've built our systems and processes to solve those type of problems. And so those are some of the things that we do. We started Real Business Owners podcast because there's just a lot of fake shit out there, man. And we've grown a lot over the last, 12, 15 years that we've been doing this hustle. And we just want to share, man, our successes, our failures. We want to see other people level up. And we're firm believers, man. When you give, you receive, like we want to continue to grow as well. And the best way to do that is to give. And so that's kind of what our podcast is all about, is just giving that information so people can grow and level up with us. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. The real business owners, because there's
real,
a lot of
man.
fake shit out there.
Real.
You guys are real. Yeah. Hell yeah. I love that. And there's a lot of people in the podcasting world, entrepreneur world, who their podcast is their business and they don't really know shit about actually running a business. And
or life coaches that are 22 years old, that
exactly
that don't know anything about life yet.
Yeah. Sometimes I think I'm a little underqualified. I mean, I have we're gonna get to 6 million in sales this year. I have 16 employees, and some of the people that I talk to, I'm like, damn, am I one of those guys who doesn't know shit?
No, I mean, you're actually out there doing.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So it's one thing to make your main business. You're a business coach, but yet you don't have any businesses. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You've gone through various phases of your business in order to grow it up to 6 million. There's people that would love to do $6 million a year in revenue. There's people that would love to do $1 million a year in revenue. So there's information that you have that's valuable to those type of individuals that are on the come up. I think where we really screw up is we start comparing ourselves to people that are always above us, right? We don't look behind and say, well, there's tons of people that are probably at that level that could use the information that I'm giving, but we like to compare ourselves to the people above us because we're trying to reach new levels. You have great guests on that do tens of millions of dollars a year in revenue. Just as, what was it? Patrick David. I mean, that he's huge, he's made a lot of money. And so we compare ourselves to individuals like that. We're like, well, we don't really have anything that, this guy has. So maybe I don't have value, but those are the people that guys like you and us look to for information that are already somewhat successful.
And for people who might be just starting or a level below, maybe somebody like that might be out of touch because they can't even relate to them because they're just too big and on a different level.
They're talking about stuff that connects with entrepreneurs that may be 5 or 10 years deep into their business rather than the entrepreneur that's 1 or 2 years or 3 years deep in their business.
Exactly. So you guys are running businesses for real. And when you started the podcast, what was the original goal for that? Was that just kind of for fun? Was that kind of to get to attract clients? Was it to make money on its own?
We actually started the Instagram account first, and within 2 or 3 months of starting Real Business Owners on Instagram, we had a lot of messages of people, hey, do you guys have a podcast? Do you guys have a YouTube channel? They were asking for more content, and that's when we kind of looked at each other and said, well, they're liking what we're giving them currently, and they're hungry for more, right? So we wanted to quench that thirst. And so we just kind of said, hey, it's time to roll out a podcast.
Yeah.
And so really it's the people that pushed us in that direction based upon the content or information that we were giving them on Instagram. We could tell that they wanted more. And, the easiest way to get information out to a mass amount of people is with a podcast. We can't have one-on-ones with thousands of people that follow our accounts, but we can give thousands of people information just by talking about it one time on a podcast.
I love that. We're so lucky to live in this day and age where you can just turn your phone around and communicate with millions of people. Imagine in the past, if you wanted to get your message out there, I don't know, a billboard, or you had to get on network TV, which is probably impossible.
Exactly. So and it goes on the
lucky.
flip side too. Individuals that are looking for good information back in the day, they used to have to buy cassette tapes and this, that, the other, and these.
Or go to the library with like a Dewey Decimal System and go sit there and read it. Try to find the chapter that you need. Oh, that would be terrible. They'd have to hire a
coach or a mentor, which is something that we're all about. I mean, we have several coaches and mentors ourselves, but.
Really?
In this day and age, there's YouTube, there's podcasts, there's so much free good content online that you could start with and start absorbing that information, growing the knowledge base that you have about business. And then eventually you get to the point where you can afford, paying other people for information, which is what we've done over the last several years.
Nice. Yeah. That's interesting that, do you think that someone starting up in business, they're young, they're starting, you would advise them to seek out a mentor?
Absolutely.
Yeah, see, I've never had a mentor.
Yeah,
I've never really had one. I mean, I feel like I got my mentoring from podcasts, books, YouTube videos, and it wasn't directly to me, but the information was there.
Yeah,
that's okay, man. But do you feel like that you're doing everything you possibly can right now to be the best version of you, or grow your business to the full potential that it could be?
I mean, I kind of do. I mean, I go hard, and I feel like I've primed myself with knowledge over the years. And I'm at the point now where I feel like I've had this one time I reached out to these business consultants, and I was interested in it. And my business, it was probably a couple years ago, where I was going through a dip and my business was actually struggling.
And which is normal, by the way. If you're in business, you'll have the ebb and flows, the dips and the highs, So
Of course.
Yeah.
But some of the advice that they gave me was, it was stuff that I kind of already knew. I just needed to go execute.
Sure. And that's what a lot of times mentorship is, man, is just that confirmation, that accountability, and a lot of times it's not even about even hustling as much as you possibly can. I mean, I feel like, man, there's always, something left in the tank, but at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know, and so if you have a mentor that's truly done some things at higher levels than you've done, and he knows that he sees things you don't see, outside eyeballs, like, hey, man, it's really time for you to let control of some of these areas so you can focus on these areas. There was things that we kind of knew just like you, but we're like, man, we don't know how to execute this. We don't know how to fine tune our systems and processes in order to let go of these things. And, what are the next things we should be doing? Because we don't know. We haven't been in that area yet. And so, sometimes mentorship and just groups and things like that are necessary. I mean, just like when we started the podcast, it's something we talked about and sat on actually for quite a while, almost probably a full year. And then after some of our mentorship groups, saying the type of impact it could have, we're like, dude, we got to quit sitting on this. So we made that next step and just committed. We just bought our podcast equipment, knowing as soon as it showed up, we're freaking doing this thing. You know what I mean? And so a lot of that came from mentorship as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's interesting. I mean,
maybe
I should seek it out. Yeah. I actually just hired, 7 months ago, I hired an operations manager, gave him a big salary. I was really excited about it because I have 16 people and they're a lot of labor workers, kind of shipping packages. I have some turnover and I wanted someone to manage them because it's a task.
Yes.
Worked for me for 7 months and actually just fired him because it wasn't basically fulfilling what I wanted him to. And I feel like if I had a mentor, I could have got some advice on how to do that. I mean, I wish that I could kind of go back and think it through more at the beginning when I hired him. And maybe, I'm sure I learned a lot in the 7-month period by hiring this person, but that might be something where a mentor could accelerate that learning from experience that they've had rather than going through experiences myself, right?
Yeah. Of course. I mean, even the best athletes or, business people, they have coaches and mentors. I mean, Ed Milet is worth $500 million and he still has a coach and a mentor.
Dang, who's his coach?
He doesn't, he keeps it secret. Some people think it's Tony Robbins and some, him and Tony used to tour a lot together and Tony taught him a little bit about
secret.
eating.
I didn't know that about him. That's funny.
No, there's plenty of people. I mean, even so, we one of our mentors is Ryan Stewman. Stewman does a lot of big shit. He's known as the hardcore closer, is what he kind of goes by on Instagram.
I never heard of him.
No, yeah,
I feel like I take pride in like knowing a lot of people in this community, and I never heard that name. But now I know it.
Yeah, exactly. So this individual, I mean, he does already a lot of big shit. He has 14 different companies, but even him, he has coaches and mentors. He has a religious coach and a pastor that he pays, and then he has business coaches that he pays. And I would say that he's a completely different person than what he was 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Right.
He's leveled up quite a bit just himself, and he was already worth millions of dollars. Now he's probably worth $10, $20 million. So,
damn,
you can't really, look, the best version of ourselves is almost like a dangling carrot. We're just never going to reach it, right? Because there's always the next level. But some of these coaches and mentors that we pay, they help us say, hey, what about this? Are you working on your fitness? Are you working on, reading books? Are you absorbing this? Are you doing that? And so they help you there's the accountability piece a little bit to it, but also, the fact that they talk about power moves like starting a podcast or writing a book. And then they talk about some of the experiences that they've had when they started a podcast or when they wrote a book or when they started speaking on stage and all the opportunities that started coming to them when they started doing these things. And so they give you a path to write a book within 3 or 4 months, and they break it down on how to do it. There's different things that, these people bring to the table that, maybe you wouldn't have done if you didn't have that nudge in that right direction.
Experience plus the personal accountability part sounds like that would be incredibly helpful, because it's like personalized to you. You can't get that from like a podcast or something that you're just listening to. So, I mean, all right, maybe I'll go seek a mentor.
Personally, our income has doubled.
Doubled
since we've started hiring coaches and mentors.
Damn. So you guys said you have 4. You guys said you have 4 businesses.
Mm-hmm. So we've invested into a acai bowl company called Ever Bowl. We invested $200,000 into an Amazon store about a year and a half ago. So yeah, I mean, so some of them we don't really do a lot on a day-to-day basis because
more of an investment.
We're the investors.
Yeah, we're shareholders,
in it, right?
Yeah, we're equity owners.
So that's not as much of the day-to-day, but still a massive part of it. And I'm sure that you could consult and are having obviously a vested interest in it. But the accounting firm's your main thing. Yeah,
we got the accounting thing. We got the credit repair company.
Credit repair company. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, we had
if your credit's fucked, you hit you guys up, and all of a sudden you go to Credit Karma and your score goes up.
Dude, I mean, our process is the best process in the entire credit repair industry. We know there's some unreally told secrets in that industry that people are afraid to put out there, and we're not afraid to put them out there. If we take people through the process, we show them how to really get shit wiped off the right way, and we help them execute it. So
the issue with credit repair, the industry as a whole, it's just it has a bad name because what these credit repair companies do is they dangle the carrot, right? So what happens is there's an open-ended contract, and if they bull rushed your credit report and removed everything in the first 60 or 90 days, you would have no reason to continue to pay them a monthly fee. So it's in their best interest to kind of slowly give you increases over 12 months or 24 months. So they bill you for a year and a half, 2 years. So not only are you spending money over the course of that time, you still don't have good credit because it's slowly creeping up. The way that we do it is we have a 90-day warranty. And if we don't hit that warranty within 90 days, we exit you of the agreement, right? But we have a 12-month contract though. So we say, hey, it's $1,800, but we finance it in the form of $150 a month over 12 months, but we're going to get you good credit quick and give you the luxury to pay over time. So while you're paying, you have good credit rather than paying and still not having good credit. So we kind of flip the industry upside down a little bit.
That's great. I love that. My credit score is good, but I actually hate credit scores and actually hate accounting because they're numbers that are like a stupid ass game that I got to play for some reason. Like if I just want to not have any debt, like why do I have to go pay gas and then pay it off with a credit card just to make my credit score better? I mean, my credit score is naturally good now just because I've needed the credit cards, but it's I don't know. It's a dumb game to play, but I guess you need it. And then now I'm actually looking to get a loan. I'm looking to get this It was listed at 3.8 million. Now it's a $2.8 million building for my business. And it's cheaper now because I think commercial real estate is at a low point. Of course. And I'm looking to buy it. So like if I didn't have a credit score or history, like that would not help me with lending. So, I mean, I get that there's a point to it. I just hate the stupid game that you got to play with it.
Oh yeah. It's a game. What it is. We don't make the rules. We don't make the rules. We just got to play by them, you know?
Exactly.
And but we almost love it though. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, if you found a way to, you found a way to be it up with it on the other side. And I get that it's a game and I love playing games, and business is the game I love to play.
Absolutely.
And on the accounting side, like I haven't had a good relationship with my accountants the last couple of years. I mean, I pick someone, I do it, and I don't know. I feel like I just have a lot more questions that I want to ask them, and then they like bill me, and I'm like, all right, I can just figure this out. I have a great bookkeeping service. It's called Bench Bookkeeping, and basically they just take all my my credit cards, my bank account statements, and they just like put it all through. So at the end of the year, I have like pretty clean books that just turn over to an accountant. But now I just had to open up another LLC to be a holding company to buy the building. So like it's getting more advanced.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys know this answer. At what level do a lot of businesses usually bring accounting in-house?
So, I mean, dude, that's a great question because you don't need to nowadays. I mean, with cloud-based technology, why would you want to bring somebody in-house that's now going to be the cost of an employee? You got to manage your Social Security. You got to manage them. You got to deal with sick days. You got to manage things getting done if they are sick. And it's just another thing to manage when you don't have to. Like somebody like us, we can handle anybody, small, medium, or large, because we build our accounting in teams. You know, so if one of our guys is out that works on your books, I mean, there's another guy that knows your books, you know, and then not only that, you don't have to manage Social Security because you're outsourcing. It's not an employee. And on top of that, you just have somebody that's always there for you, that's trying to go above and beyond for you. And that's kind of how we've built our systems and processes. Yeah, there's a lot of great accounting companies out there, but there's not really many that do it like that. And why would you want to bring somebody in starting at $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month to be your in-house person, plus the cost of them being an employee? Before you know it, you're paying $3,000 to $5,000 a month for something you could outsource for a better service.
Plus, a lot of times throughout the year, there's probably not as much work.
Yeah.
Right. Like a lot of the work is kind of probably isolated around tax season or I don't know, quarterly payments, which I haven't been making because I don't know. I figure with quarterly estimated payments, I figure like I can either pay the same bill 4 times throughout the year and have to do a bunch of damn paperwork, or I could just pay it all at the end and have one big bill that's the same amount, whatever. And I just got to deal with paperwork less. Like, I get annoyed by it.
There should be some strategy to that. You know what I mean? And that's why we always tell people like, dude, why just blindly pay these quarterly payments when you don't really know what they should be based on, you don't really know maximizing and letting them sit on your money all year long. And so that's why we always are big advocates for pre-tax planning, which is another thing we try and do very heavily with our clients, because at the end of the day, bro, like why do we want to plan when it's too late? Why do we want to plan at the end of the year when we missed out on Augusta rule, when we missed out on, structuring our kids to be part of the company and paying them, and you're just going to do it all at the end of the year and then try and justify it to the IRS when you're audited? Like, come on, man, let's plan ahead so that you don't have these problems at the end of the year and you really actually know what you should be paying quarterly, or if you have to at all.
What are the chances of getting audited? I kind of got annoyed with my accountant before too, because just little things like our gym was an expense, and he's like, "Are you offering that to all your employees?" And I was like, no. And he's like, all right, well, we got to, I'm just like, shut up. I'm not going to get audited. Is that a bad attitude? Like, obviously I understand there's the chance that you're getting audited, but realistically.
I mean, bro, I don't think you should live in fear, but I think you should always be prepared by having things as clean as you possibly can. Right. I mean, we've been audited and it's not.
You've been audited?
I mean, I don't sit here and live in fear because I want to go through it again. No, man, there's things that are like a waste of time that I could be doing in my business, that rather than going back and rechecking my mileage logs and cleaning things up for this audit, you know what I mean?
And doing that.
And so at the end of the day, man, it's like
what percentage of businesses does the IRS audit? I'm gonna guess. Do you guys know the answer? I'm gonna guess it would be like 2%, 3%.
It depends on if you're a sole proprietorship, it's a little higher. If you're an LLC, it's a little lower. If you're an S corporation, it's about the same as an LLC. But at the end of the day, it all depends on how you're doing your shit too, man. Like if you're an S corporation, but you're not doing a fair and reasonable salary to yourself, then you're probably gonna spike a little more attention on your tax return to look say, heck, you're going to get audited.
I hate having to pay myself a fair and reasonable salary because, like, I got the money in this bank account and now I got to move it to this bank account, but have all the taxes come out of it. It's so annoying.
Bench don't do that for you through like Gusto or your payroll app or anything like that?
I use ADP for my payroll, and I put in the number each payroll. So by the end of the year, it has to add up to a reasonable salary. And I actually just got married to my fiance, who I run the company with. She's a big part of the company. And for the past couple of years, she's been an employee of the company, and I always laughed at it. She makes poverty wages. She's like our lowest paid employee, even though she does so much, just because I don't know. I feel like now that we're married, I got to give her a fair and reasonable salary too. It's just like, all right. I hate it, man. I hate these damn rules, but I get it. You guys like, do you have opinions on like taxes from like a political level? Like, do you guys think about that a lot when you think about like politics or something? Are you like all about who has lower taxes, or would you like someone who has like more complicated taxes because then more people might need to hire accountants? Or do you have any like thoughts on that?
We've got accountants in here that love the complicated stuff that pushes them to like, strategize and figure things out. And then we've got accountants that like the systemized stuff that they know what they're doing every day. And they've got the plan already figured out and they come in and do their routine. I mean, but from a political standpoint,
I'm all about less taxes.
We're all about our job.
You're business owners.
Yeah. I mean, we're still entrepreneurs,
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing that you got to understand, dude, is the tax code is not designed to suck money out of business owners or people. It's designed to be a guide for you on where can you put money, defer taxes, reduce taxes, but it's still going to stimulate the economy, and so people don't really look at it like that. They're like, oh, I hate taxes. They're just sucking money out of me. Well, it's because you're not playing the game, right? Like, dude, the tax code is a guide, right? It's the freaking cheat code to business, man. You understand some of these things. The government would love for you to stimulate the economy with some of these deductions, expenses, and the places you're putting your money. And you would love to reduce your taxes so that you can build your long-term wealth. And that's kind of just some of our beliefs here. And that's how we work. If you're like a hardcore, extreme leftist, whatever, politically, and you think that you should be paying 60% in taxes, you don't want to hire us.
Also, for those people, you can always go pay more, right?
Yeah. Or you can always move to California. I mean, they love it.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
But I'm really a Philly boy. I moved here from Philadelphia about 5 years ago.
Awesome.
Where are you guys located?
St. George, Utah.
Utah's that's a cool and interesting state.
Yeah.
Beautiful there, right?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned California because I've had a few people on my podcast who are talking about I'm getting the hell out of California. Like, it's just terrible there. Like, I guess all the policies they have in place are just like empathy-based, pro-employee, fuck the business owner kind of mentality. And it's not working pretty well. There's homeless people everywhere.
Yeah, it's not working.
It doesn't work, man. We should be pro-business owner and pro-employee. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how Utah is. And that's how Utah's one of the wealthiest states in the country, right? Like, we've got
really, is that true? I believe it.
Well-run state. We're like top 3, man, as far as economic growth and wealth
stability.
I buy it. And every time, like, yes, I obviously want to pay low taxes, but every time I bitch about it, the one thing I always am like, all right, is like the roads are pretty nice. Like, I swear, like, our tax money goes to building roads. Imagine if we didn't have roads. That's the one time when I pay my tax bill, I'm like,
sure,
right, we have roads, because roads are pretty sweet.
Yeah. Dude, taxes are necessary, man, but it's you
shouldn't be overpaying.
So many levels
is the point. A lot of people, when somebody reduces their tax liability, it's like they're cheating or something. It's in the IRS tax code.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, whoever says you shouldn't be using that, just because you don't know about it and I used it, doesn't mean it's wrong. If anything, you're wrong because you're overpaying in taxes. And if you want to stay wrong, stay overpaying then.
Right. And that comes up in politics a lot now with like Trump saying he only paid like $750 in taxes, and people they try to use that to like get him, saying like he's not giving back to the country, all that stuff. But I mean, he followed the rules, right?
Yeah, and not only that, but that tax return document that was released was also just an adjustment. Like if you filed your tax return right now and there was one little thing that was inaccurate in there, IRS is going to send you a document that says, hey, you still owe us this, right? $750, in this area because you forgot to do this or whatever, right? And so really that tax document that got released was just a tax adjustment on his tax return.
People they're just trying to take that and sell it to like the masses to be like a bad guy or whatever.
Of course, that's what they do.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, politics is like it's interesting. It's fun.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Like I'm not that much of a political guy. Like I don't care. I respect everyone's opinions, and like I just kind of respect everyone, listen to both sides, laugh at it. But it's funny how crazy people get like fired up about it.
Oh yeah, man. Well, the thing about
they know everything.
The only thing that bothers me, okay, I'm all about people having their opinions and all that stuff, but a lot of these celebrities or athletes or whatever, they go out there and slander tax cuts. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't own companies that are responsible for people and their paychecks and livelihoods. And when you are actually a business owner that cares about your people and the best thing for them, like you have a little more understanding of how a tax cut like Trump did for our economy, impacts them. We've given more raises last year and last 2 years because of the tax cuts than we ever have before. That stuff does trickle down the employees.
And a Hollywood star will maybe have like one assistant, but then all the other stuff is handled by like the movie production companies. So they don't know shit. But a real entrepreneur might have like 100 employees. And by the way, they're doing much better for the world by giving people jobs than someone sitting there bitching. So,
and they have accountants that are strategizing to reduce their taxes.
Guaranteed.
For sure. Of course.
But they don't know. They're kind of out of touch with reality with guys like you and I and Trev that are at this level. We're like, man, we got 15 people we're taking care of people, man. Like, if I got a tax cut, I can reward my staff this way. I can raise and I can hire more and I can stimulate the economy, right? And so they're just out of touch with reality stuff.
I like when they get together and like sing a song all together, and it's like, ooh, like they did that Imagine song. They're like, imagine all the people like during the virus, and it was just like, oh, guys, stop.
Just keep doing what you're doing. Let us do it. Let us do it.
They're not the real business owners. They're just like, out of touch is a good way to put it. And a lot of people are out of touch. And they haven't had a lot of like obstacles. Like, what are some like big obstacles that you guys have had in business that you've had to overcome?
Man.
Where do we start? In 2012, that year was a rough year.
Okay. There's a reset button year. Yeah.
It got to the point where there was no money in the bank account, 66 grand in credit card debt. Things were looking pretty bleak before things turned around, and so that was a point where, we could have folded the chair and gone home, and just said, okay, this thing's not going to work any longer and we're just done. But we doubled down. We went deeper on credit cards. Then we invested even more personal money into the business, and we turned it around. The very following year, it was a $700,000 turnaround in business, so it just really depends on how bad somebody wants it. But we've seen, dark time. Like Kel said, we went through an audit. I think it was around about the same time, 2012 or 13. This was prior to
around the same time. That's terrible.
It was prior to us owning Easier Accounting. And so we had a bad bookkeeper. That's
our own internal bookkeeper, man. She did a huge audit for us.
We switched bank accounts, and she continued to make payments when we were holding the tax money out of people's checks. You're supposed to remit those payments for those employees because you're holding the taxes, right? So she was cutting the check out of the bank account that we had closed down at Chase Bank because we opened up a new bank at a credit union. For about 3 months, she was sending them tax payments from a bad checking account. So we ended up getting a bill for like $50,000 or $60,000. And right before that, we took a pretty decent draw check or a dividend because the account was looking good. So we're like, okay,
like if you would have known about that, you would have accounted for it.
We just figured that the accountant was doing their job and everything was good. The business was, so we took a nice little check, and then we got hit with a $60,000 bill. And then because of that, that's a high audit risk. If you're holding tax money but not remitting the payment, you're probably going to get audited. So that's what happened to us in that scenario. And it was, Yeah, it was definitely a headache. It's a stressful time.
Like when you went through it, did anything come into your head where you were thinking, I'm actually going to quit, or did that not even cross your mind for a second?
No, it didn't really cross our mind. I mean, has there been times where, we'd want to throw our hands up and walk away from everything? Of course, we're human, that's
Right.
not necessarily, something that, there was Elon Musk that was asked that question. Have you ever thought about quitting? And he said, no. There are the exception to the rule. There are the unicorns, right? But we're human beings just like every other entrepreneur. And I guarantee you 99.9% of entrepreneurs have thought about walking away a time or two. Should I sell this? Should I get rid of it? Should I just cash out? Because of how many times that you have to deal with struggle. You'll deal with struggle and headaches far more than you're going to just have easy, wonderful days when you come into the office. Even though we still now get paid very well, that doesn't mean that the struggle just disappears. Now we just get paid far more.
More money, more problems.
When you're growing a business, that is 100% a very, very true statement.
It's where you find out if you truly have the adversity, right? To get through things.
Yeah. So I was 300,000 in the hole at one point, and two things. One was I knew from my previous learning about just business mindset that businesses go through obstacles. So at the time it happened, you said 99% think of quitting. I actually didn't, just because I was like, this is my obstacle. This is my moment. This is my story I can tell in a podcast one day. Every superhero movie, there's always a spot where he's down and he has to come back. I was like, this is my spot. So I would literally wake up in the morning knowing I had no money. And I knew that I would have some money come in from sales that day. And then I would have to distribute it to my different vendors before some came out, and I'd be negative by the end of the day again, get bank fees. And I knew I was going to have to keep fighting. So I'd wake up and I was actually kind of excited about it, because I was like, this is going to be my time to turn around.
Yeah.
So that was the mindset part. That was the mindset part. The other thing was, and this is for people who might be listening who might go through this, the mindset's important. But the other thing I think that people need to consider is actually how good is your business and what's the actual problem. If you aren't getting any sales and your business sucks and you have no market, product match or whatever, and there's no future, and you're failing because your business is just terrible and no one likes your product, then you should probably quit and restart. In my case, we actually had tons of sales, but I hired too many people for the holiday season, and I didn't really know how to, I was just getting into Facebook ads, and I spent too much money on Facebook ads, and that was resulting in revenue, but I was losing money at the bottom line. And I was thinking, okay, well, I'm getting more customers. I'm getting more people on the email list. I'm keeping my employees busy. The revenue's going up. So my revenue kept going up. My profit was going down. And I just kept doing that for a while like a fucking idiot. And it just all hit me at once. So I had to fire half my staff. And I actually had to figure out, I ran out of credit lines. I ran out of anywhere to go. So one day it just hit me. And I had to fire half the staff. But people still liked our product and people were still buying it. And it was about April. So from April to September, I went through this everyday fighting negative bank accounts thing. But I knew that by the time that holiday season hit again next year, that people still loved our product. So that was the other reason I didn't give up, was because it wasn't that my business was bad. It was just that I ran it like shit. So between the mindset thing and knowing that I still had a good business, I stuck with it. And those were the things that kept me going.
So learning.
And I'm happy. I stuck with it.
Honestly, you look at it now, dude, that was an investment in itself.
It was.
Sure, I lost money, but I invested. I took those risks. I took those challenges on, and here I am now learning from it. Now I make better moves in my company.
Right. Now I actually know the exact daily ad spend that I can have to be profitable. And I have this chart that all my employees are able to see, to know that if we go over this ad spend percentage, then everyone run to my office and be like, yo, what the fuck's going on? It's too, I have the whole company help hold, I guess, me accountable for the ad spend. And that's just kind of also that, but also just knowing what numbers are going to be profitable at. And if it weren't for this experience, I never would have actually known the real numbers to run my business. So now I can just fly knowing that as long as I keep this in check, that I'm profitable and I can just focus on growth and growing without going to that downturn again. So
anytime you do something new in business, Most people do it wrong the first time, so hopefully you just don't go too wrong to the point where it puts you out of business. Right. So when you're testing and trying new things, you throw a little bit of money at it and then make adjustments, in your case, you threw a lot of money at it and didn't adjust for a long time.
Way too much.
So, that was the mistake, is not making the correction or the adjustment quick enough. It's not that you shouldn't have been spending money on Facebook ads, because obviously it works. You were just spending too much over here and too much over here on the fulfillment side. And it just didn't add up. And so you finally, when you ran out of money, thank God you did, because maybe you would have ran it into $600,000, right? So
thank God everyone was like, nope, no more
lines of credit. Good. Okay. Now you have to make the adjustments in order to save your business. It's the same thing in 2012 with us, is having no money and looking at at credit card debt. It forces you to make changes. It forces you to address some of the things that you didn't address previously. Therefore, now your business is fully optimized or more optimized. And, you're going to, a year or 2 or 3 years later, be glad that you went through that experience, but it sure doesn't feel good going through it.
Exactly. And I joke to myself that, I went through that problem and it's been about 2 or 3 years and it's going great. And I figure there'll be some point where at the next level, I might have some different type of problem that I got to figure out. Yeah. Maybe with this new building that I'm in. And
it's not if.
And exactly.
It will happen. There's always new problems at new levels, without a doubt.
Which is back to the mentor thing. Why we hire mentors and stuff now. See, bro, we're not different. We went through those phases where we have to figure it out and we have to make the mistakes and learn. And we're kind of stubborn in the fact that I don't know what I'm doing. I don't need some mentor to tell me what I'm doing or whatever. I'm not going to buy into that. That dude just wants my money or whatever, right? Yeah. So there's all these things that you can keep from buying into mentoring. But the only way that you could have solved that problem sooner is if you did have somebody mentoring you, saying, hey, bro, I've been through this. Yeah. Let me show you this technique on how you can figure out your exact ad spend to profit, and let's get you dialed in a little bit quicker. That's the only way you could have really figured that out sooner, other than just figuring it out and learning from it yourself. And so, not to go back to the mentor thing, but that's why we're at a new level where we're more open to it, because dude, if we can hire someone in our industry that's already been through these things at a different level, they can see the mistakes that we're making, we can accomplish them faster.
Geez, between that problem I had and the thing I just had with the operations manager, this mentor thing's sounding better. Where would you go to find a mentor? I feel like you Google and there might be a lot of crap that comes up. Is mentoring different than consulting? Or is it similar? Or is that just
I wouldn't say it's one and the same, but I'd say that, mentoring is a form of consulting, right? But it's got the accountability piece tied,
you're paying somebody.
I would say a consultant gets very, very specific on your business and what your business is doing. And so they get very granular, right? With you one-on-one. And there are coaches or mentors that do the one-on-one stuff, which is far more expensive. What we've invested in is more group coaching, right? Where there's 30 people or 40 people that all pay, $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, rather than paying one individual $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year to coach you one-on-one. That's at a high level of success, because if they're at a high level of success, their time's pretty valuable at that point. And so they're not going to just coach you for $500 a month. Just right. And that's not a priority to them. So if you do one-on-one stuff, it can get really expensive. So we like doing the group stuff for several reasons.
Isn't that called a mastermind or something?
Correct. Exactly. So, when we started going to these events or masterminds, we would meet more people. I think there's power in investing into coaching and mentoring in a group form, because the one-on-one stuff is great because it can get deep into your business and help you figure out the issues within your business. But a group setting, you also create different relationships in that group, business relationships. We've created new businesses or redone some of our current businesses based upon the relationships that we've created in the groups. So in some cases, yes, it is the mentorship that is powerful, but on the flip side of the coin, that's still the coin, the group itself is very powerful, and the networking that you get to do with like-minded people definitely can help elevate your business as well.
Yeah, you find out real quick in the masterminds when people are really open and they're sharing the struggles and all that stuff. You find out which ones really are like, brilliant in the areas that you need to learn, right? Like we just recently got home from one of our masterminds and I looked at Trevor, I'm like, dude, that John guy, he really knows his shit. Yeah. He reverse engineered everything in his marketing platforms, and his distribution of content is way more in depth than ours. Yep. And now he's going to come out. We're going to do a whole whiteboard session. He's going to mentor our whole team on areas where we're lacking so that we can turn this shit up in every single area as far as retargeting, the email campaigns, and how often they need to go out. He's got the science down to a T. So we're like, man, we actually need to fine tune some of this stuff. And he's going to come out and he's going to mentor us, but he's within our mastermind group.
And then the other guy,
he was just one of the people in there, right? So
that's just one of the guys in there, because usually you fly in and then we meet for dinner. We'll sit down, have dinner, go to a nice steakhouse, people have drinks or whatever. You're just getting to know, building deeper relationships with these people. But this at the exact same one where we met John, we met another individual named Daryl that sells $120 million a year in real estate in California. Yeah. So he lives in Laguna, and he's like, look, dude, I want to start sending you guys all my bad credit people that need to buy a house. I want to send it to somebody that we trust, somebody that does a good job. So again, those are just two different scenarios. Anytime on Facebook, when people say looking for recommendations, hey, I need a new accountant. Since we're a part of several different groups, we have, one group has 2,000 people, the other group has 50 people, but that means there's over 2,000 people that know who we are and what we do. And their group of friends, maybe they have 1,000 or 2,000 friends on their Facebook page each. Imagine the network, the ability to touch people that we don't even know. Because if you were in our mastermind group and somebody's on Facebook saying, hey, I need a new accountant, and you tag Trevor and Kale with Easier Accounting, and then we say, okay, cool. Hey, thanks. We appreciate the tag. Hey, and then we slide into the DMs and we try to create a relationship.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of it. So you guys get guidance, mentorship, but also you make relationships. And for you guys, so this might be me pushing back a little bit, but for you guys, everyone there is a potential like client for accounting because they're business people, and they might know people who need credit, which could be like anyone. Like for me though, it's like a little different because I'm B2C. All the people I sell to are like girls who like fashion, which like isn't necessarily like my brand. And like the B2B thing, that's a nice benefit for B2B because like I wouldn't, like I might find an accountant, but like these people wouldn't necessarily be clients of my business because like we sell clothing. But
they might not be clients of your business, but they might know somebody that could help you blow up your business to in the next level, right?
I mean,
like,
you're selling me on it.
I mean, no, for real. There's one girl in the group. I mean, she makes like $1 million a year. Just that's and she sells clothes. So that's not her revenue. That's her personal income.
Dang.
Nice. So nice. You can say, hey, what do you do? How did you do it? She basically does it by building, fitness Facebook groups because her clothes are based around fitness. Cool. So it's a closed group, build the community. And since she's in control of the community, she gets to market those fitness type clothes in that community. And then build affiliates in the community where other people sell her clothes and they can make money off of it and she makes money off of it, right? So she's been able to game it to the point to where she's doing very well for herself. It's it doesn't matter if it's B2B, B2C, there's plenty of people that are B2C in some of these groups, but again, it's just the connections are priceless to us because that's really what it's about. That's the true currency in business, is building relationships. And having a large network of people, because I become more valuable to you the more people that I know. And you can say, hey, Trevor, do you know anybody that does Facebook ads? I want them to review what we're doing over here to see if we can get it cheaper. Oh yeah, hey, John, we'll connect you with him and he can go ahead and take a look at it or whatever it is. And so you want to be an individual of value first, and then obviously you're going to be able to create more relationships when you're that type of person. And when you're able to create more relationships, you're even more valuable at that point. And
exponential multiplication.
Correct.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Have you guys seen, has a lot of this stuff been affected by the old coronavirus, the old mastermind stuff and meeting up with people in person?
Not our groups.
Not your groups?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Audited shut down any of the live events. They do the virtual stuff, which isn't as good because obviously rubbing shoulders, eating dinner and doing all that with individuals is really where you start solidifying those connections. But one of the other groups, they shut it down for like 3 months. and then we started flying back in and
But that aside though, like with all the businesses that might be your clients or the people you know, have you seen a lot of businesses that have been affected by the virus, like that have really like got fucked big time?
I mean, we own an accounting firm, right? So we get to see a lot of people's, information on what their business is, and we haven't had near as many people as I thought may cancel. We didn't have any cancellations, during the whole COVID thing. So, again, I would think that based upon that, they probably took advantage. And I know for a fact, a lot of people took advantage of the PPP money.
I got that.
Yeah, exactly.
Too, right?
Yeah, we did too.
You got to do it just in case. And that's always like, that's an opportunity, right? Like, when something like that happens, it's kind of like, hey man, we're here to assist you guys through this process. We're gathering as much information we can right now on the PPP.
Right.
Let us help you point you in the right direction. Let us assist you. Well, now we've just created more loyalty in our customers. So they're not going to cancel us unless they absolutely do shut the doors and have to,
Right.
So it's an opportunity to create that loyalty.
It's funny how something like that can like affect different businesses. I was actually very fortunate because the post office kept running and UPS kept running. And at our office, we have a bunch of employees, but they all have their own stations. So they're kind of naturally socially distanced. And then we were able to have like a night shift. So we were spread out and we put sanitizer around the office. But on the other side, everyone was stuck at home. And online shopping went up. And the clothing that we sell is it's a lot of like cozy, like daytime wear. So we had a lot of sales from that. And then also on Zoom, like I heard that during the pandemic, pants sales went down and shirt sales went up because people still need to like have their top on, even if they got no pants on underneath.
Exactly.
So we sell stuff with like their monogram here and we have designs on it.
Yeah.
And then people in May whenever that was, they got the stimulus check. So during the pandemic, it was actually some of our biggest months. August of this year was our biggest month ever. But before that, it was May. And usually August is big, May not normally. And so we were very lucky, actually, that one, nothing got screwed up, but two, actually benefited the business. Yeah. So it's just interesting to see how it affects different people.
Yeah, I mean, every year our income goes up and it's no different for us this year. So, and then in some of the groups, there are a few people that have talked about some struggles because there's closed Facebook groups and people go to those groups and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And then you have a lot of high powered entrepreneurs that go in there and give that individual advice. But we haven't seen that a whole lot. As a matter of fact, we've actually seen a lot of people in these groups expand and grow their business during this time because they feel as though, and again, this is all stuff that was preached in the group, is everybody's going to take their foot off the gas over the next few months. It's time for you to double down and put your foot on the gas.
Yeah, and that's how I felt.
Exactly. I mean, this could be the year that either makes you or breaks you. You really determine, what you want.
It's a little bit of like a leveler, like screw, like get rid of the people who like aren't going to make it or looking for excuses or businesses didn't really have it figured out anyway. Like it might kill off some of the weak businesses and you just can't be one of those. If you're going to be a good business, it's an opportunity to push ahead.
Exactly. It's a great, it's a valid excuse. Nobody's going to shame you or blame you that your business closed down during COVID because that's what people expected for it.
If you're looking for excuses, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I guess like a restaurant, like that might be someone with the right attitude, but still, you know what? That's not true because they could ramp up their delivery game, and there's no excuses in business, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I owned a restaurant, I would figure out exactly what the margins were, and again, if sales were low or whatever it is, drop your prices to the point where all you do is break even. And at least keep the money flowing in, cover your rent or whatever it is, where you're not necessarily making money over the next 3 or 4 months or whatever it is, but figure out a way to stay open because I think a lot of them didn't really make adjustments, and the ones that didn't make any
or be one of the best ones as like. We still supported all our favorite restaurants when they were shut down, but some of them did a better job of shifting their whole service to serve picking up or delivery. And like some of them, it was all kind of like jumbled and confusing, but some had like a nice little system where you come up, you place the order, the table's right there. And like, I was like, all right, these guys are innovating. These guys are going to maybe even do better than their competition because people are still eating food.
Yes.
So it's just, about innovating, adjusting.
You hit the nail on the head, man. No excuses. I mean, we tell our sales crew all the time, even a valid excuse is just an excuse, man. Like shit happens to all of us. Are you willing? Are you going to look back and think, man, I should have shifted. I should have adapted. I should have tried this. I should have went harder on this. Like, I shouldn't have just closed down. And, at the end of the day, you have to be accountable for whether you fold or thrive. And no one's going to give a shit. No one cares about victimness. No one cares if you're like, well, I got shut down because Corona. Right? Like nobody cares. They might have some sincerity or compassion for you, but that's over in about 5 seconds.
It doesn't really count for anything anyway.
Yeah, it's not going to pay any bills.
Yeah,
exactly. I appreciate you feeling bad for me, but at the end of the day, there's still bills that need to be paid.
Exactly. So, I love that. Yeah. So your guys' podcast, like, do you guys have guests on? Is it kind of just usually you guys? I feel like I've seen a couple other faces on there.
Yeah. No, we do have guests on. We don't do the Zoom stuff.
I like that actually. I like that you guys don't.
Yeah, it's all in person. We did Zoom. I think we did 2 or 3 maybe.
Yeah.
And we just didn't really like it as much. It's different energy when you're in the room with an individual and you're just vibing with them, right? And so even our videographer, he hates editing the video, these video ones. He's like, dude, I don't like it. Then I have to take a piece of their recording plus my recording and then kind of mash it together. And he's like, I just prefer if it's in-house. So if you're ever out in Utah, man, you need to hit us up and come jump on the podcast. Bro.
Yeah, I've actually, ever since I've been doing my podcast, I've never really done a lot of in-person. I think I did 1 in-person and we didn't have a really good setup for it. But I hear like Joe Rogan and people who do podcasts in person, they swear by it. They're like, it's much better in person. Yeah. And I respect that. And I like that. And I guess it could limit, like, I'm sure Patrick Bet David, who I had in my podcast, that was awesome. I'm sure he wouldn't have flown in to do a podcast with me. So I'm not limiting it to
in person only. But you go to them. In that case, you can go to them. We've gone to Dallas before. We've interviewed. We just brought our videographer down and we've set up shop in Dallas. And whether it's a hotel room or this or that, there's plenty of ways to get it done. Still, it just depends on the caliber of the individual. If it's a big caliber type person, they can't make time to come to you. Make time to go to them, because obviously, again, it's just making it work. Just what we just talked about. There's excuses, or you can figure out a way to get shit done. So. Figure it out and make it happen.
Yeah, great point. So last kind of topic here. Like, I like your guys' Instagram has great content. You got like video clips, you got quotes, you got posts. It's got a good look to it, like a branded look. Yeah. Like, how do you kind of like come up with that content? Do you like naturally do a podcast and then take a quote out of it that you liked, or do you kind of think of the quotes in advance and put them on it? Or like, how natural is it? How organic is it? Or how do you guys like piece together all that great content?
So a lot of the clips themselves, the videos are from the podcast, right? Just little podcast teasers, because there's already a bunch of great information in, 45-minute to an hour-long podcast. You can pull a 2-minute clip from 60 minutes, right? Where somebody said something that's,
a little piece of fire, a little fire.
Exactly. Just to pique somebody's interest, right? So where they then go listen to your podcast.
Right.
The quotes are just quotes, if I'm out and about or whatever, and I just have a thought, or, I just email it to myself. And then when I get in the morning, I review it again with a different set of eyes, right? Maybe I emailed it late at night and I was tired and thought it was cool. And then I get to the office with a fresh pair of eyes. I'm like, oh, that's bunk as shit. And I delete it, right? But if it passes my morning filter, so to speak, when I come in and look at my thoughts from the previous day, then I'll just forward it off to our videographer, and then he takes he has 12 pages. I think there's anywhere from 12 to 15 quotes each page that we haven't even used yet. So there's like 150 quotes already on deck.
Nice.
But anytime I just have a random thought, I just email it to myself, and then those turn into the quotes.
Nice. So. That's actually been big for me too. I got my man Brandon behind the camera over here, and I couldn't be doing the podcast without him. Like I said, I run my business 95% of the time. Yes. And if I had to edit all this shit, like I just wouldn't be able to do it.
Oh,
I'm not with the skills anyway.
It's a job for sure. It's full time. To sit there and try to make our ugly mugs look good, so that's why we take care of them, pay them well, all that good stuff. So
yeah. And I always wanted to like start putting content out when I was like first starting, but I couldn't afford to the person to do it. And I was just like, okay, I'm not going to sit around and spend my own time trying to make a brand out of myself when like I need to be running my business. So it was cool to get to the point where I could like put a little bit of time aside to do these podcasts, and I enjoy this conversation. You learn a lot with it. And then when I don't have to worry about the going back and clipping it out and stuff like that, it's definitely a luxury. And if anyone that's young and starting and wanted to put out content, ask me for advice, I would say don't do it until you can get someone to help you, because you'll be needing to run your company and you'll be sitting there clipping out clips and making posts. And then all of a sudden you're going to be wasting your time with the actual value, which is running your company and learning and navigating the world of entrepreneurship. And you'll lose all your time doing that just to be making these damn clips and pictures.
We're doing the easy part right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Brandon's going to have to do the hard part here shortly. So, we definitely give Austin, our guy, a lot of credit for what he does. He does a great job. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to edit my own stuff or our stuff, right? Because, like we judge ourselves a little too much. You're like, oh, that's stupid. Like, or that's not. I would rather have a different set of eyes on it and have that third party perspective, so to speak, to where they're looking at it and saying, oh, this is a cool clip, without my bias or Kel's bias on it. Right.
Absolutely.
So definitely I would agree with that in terms of, hiring somebody, bringing somebody on, even if it is, contracting somebody for 5 or 10 hours a week. Maybe you do some of your own recording, like set up the camera and then come sit in your chair or whatever, and then go send it off to somebody that can edit it. That's a way to probably save a little bit of money right off the bat without having to hire somebody in full time. But, there's ways to, cut costs a little bit and still get it done. But without a doubt, hire professionals where you're not the professional. That's really what it comes down to.
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense. Any final parting words, or where do you want people to go follow you, listen to you?
Yeah, man. Who's your normal audience? Is it other business owners? Is that kind of your? Yeah,
I think like young entrepreneurs, like people who like just love this type of advice. Like I like to say my podcast is kind of like a combination of like Gary Vee style and also like Joe Rogan. Like I'm an entrepreneur. I spend 95% of my time running my company, but I also like to have fun conversations with different type of people, which most of the time end up being entrepreneurs. So it's definitely like a young entrepreneur audience.
My final words would be, delayed gratification. That's entrepreneurship. The individuals that can delay some sort of gratification, whoever does that the longest wins the most, right? So the young entrepreneurs go into business, and once they have that first good year, they start over rewarding themselves, and they're actually raping the business of the profits and the ability for the business to ultimately grow and get to that next level. Continue to reinvest into the business to the point to where you have so much money coming in that you couldn't even reinvesting that amount of money each month back into that same business. And then at that point, you've hit a level where you can actually really start taking care of yourself. But
it's going to take time.
Of course, it's going to take. You're going to eat shit for 3 to 5 years. That's just the game. That's just the truth. You've been doing this for how long now?
I've been in business for probably 6, 7 years, something like that.
6 and 7 years. You probably ate shit for the first 2 or 3 years, something like that, before you started getting traction. Maybe you losing the $300,000 or getting in that debt probably happened within the first 3 to 4 year period.
Yeah.
Right.
It was right around 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's again,
good times.
Yeah. Well, you can say that now. You probably weren't saying that when you woke up with staring at a balance sheet that was in the negative. But that's what we're all about, is just teaching individuals the principles and the lessons that have got us where we are today. We do over $10 million each year in revenue. Prior to COVID, we were on pace to hitting about 14 to 15 million. We'll probably still do around 11 or 12.
Okay. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of revenue.
Yeah,
that's legit.
It's a lot to manage, a lot of headaches, a lot of stress, a lot of sacrifice in order to get to that type of level as well. So, we talk about all of that on our podcast, on our Instagram account, as you're aware of. So if anybody wants to connect with us, they can find us at Real Business Owners on Instagram, or it's Real Business Owners Podcast, or Real Business Owners on Facebook. We answer every direct message that comes across, just like we did yours when you asked for us to be on the podcast.
Boom. So Trevor and Kale, the Real Business Owners, the two dudes wearing the flat brim hats, looking fly.
You know it.
Follow them, check them out. I've been following you guys. I love your advice. It's smart. Sometimes I don't even always look at like 1 minute clips, but for you guys, sometimes I'm like, just catch myself. I'm like, damn, this is some good shit. So keep doing what you're doing. I love what you guys are doing. And thanks for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely. Appreciate you too. Later, brother.
Have you ever heard a better podcast in your entire life? Take that, Joe Rogan. Best podcast you've ever heard. Get more podcasts right here and subscribe to the show too while you're at it. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you. Honestly, I love you.